Hello friends, today we're talking about kick drums.
See? Ooh.
Now, kick drums are one of my favorite parts about making music, and I think they're probably the most important part of a track, specifically with EDM, just because you're hearing it so often, and if you have a good kick drum, like with the beat and everything, like it's the part of the track that feels the best. If you have a crappy kick and you're hearing it that many times, it's not gonna do you any good, but if you have one that sounds really perfect for your track, it's gonna make your track just that much better, like across the board. There are countless drum samples out there, like on Splice and whatever sample pack you find. I almost never use a sample like straight out of a sample pack for a song just because like it doesn't fit my song perfectly. I usually either make it from scratch or use a couple different samples and kind of mash them together to make the sound that I want. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how I did the kick drum, or two kick drums that I use in my Somebody remix from the Chainsmokers.
You should've known better.
I'm gonna show you how to make a kick that specifically fits into your song. I don't really know like what else to say.
It's kind of like getting a tailor-made suit. Like, you can buy one from the store, but it's not gonna fit you unless you get it tailored.
I've always been obsessed with the specific sound of a kick drum, and I think it's a huge, like I said before, a huge part of making a song sound good. So I think if it's not something that you're paying attention to right now, as a beginner producer, you should probably be spending more time on the kick drum, and maybe this video will help you figure out how to be more specific and like get the best out of your song with your kick drum. So without further ado, let's dive right into the project. All right guys, here's the project for my Somebody remix. I'm just gonna play it for a second so you can hear it.
You should've known better than to listen to your heart again. People change with the weather.
All right, we're not gonna listen to the whole thing right now. You'll be hearing parts of it later. I've been getting a lot of requests from you guys to break through this project and kind of show you how I did it, which I'm very thankful that you guys want to know how to do this. I'm going to probably just take little parts. Like today I'm working on the kick drum. I'm just gonna work on individual sections or aspects of the song that you guys want. So let me know in the comments, because I actually want to know from you guys which parts of the song you want me to show you how to do. Also, you can definitely message me on Instagram. I always reply, so let me know there what parts of the song you want me to break down, and I can do that for you. Okay, so I'm gonna go through two different kick drums in this song. I have the one in the verse, and then I also have the one in the drop here. So yeah, I took two different methods with both of them, and I'm gonna show you how I did each one. A little bit of a disclaimer. There are like thousands of different kinds of kick drums, and like I can't explain how to do all of them, obviously. And they're all different depending on what kind of project you're doing. So I can't really teach you how to make a great kick drum exactly, but I'm going to show you some methods of how I do it, and hopefully with a lot of practice you guys can like learn how to find the right kick drum and make the right kick drum for your track. So starting here at the verse.
You should've known better than to listen to your...
This is how I made this kick drum. I just have two samples that I previously made myself. I'll show you the second kick drum I actually made. This one is just two samples. Oh, actually, you know what? That's more than two samples. That's a lot of samples. 5 different samples that are being played for this one. And this right here is a layer. You can add a layer by doing this, adding a layer, and then what you do is you select all of them that you want to play, and then click Set Children, and then every time you hit this MIDI note, it'll do all of them. So I have these two kick drums. This is one that I made. It's called Gray Kick because I kind of tried to make it sound like what Gray does. And then this kick top that I found, and those are being routed to this channel right here. And then these 3 kicks, this is one that I made. This is the one I did for the Yodeling Kid remix, and it's got a high pass on it from this filter here. So this is carrying the lows, this is the highs, and then this is another high one. This is a sample I got from the Kit Plug, which I really dig their samples, so definitely check them out. I'll put a link in the description. Yeah, so there's those 3 samples, and so they're both routed to different channels here. So this one sounds like this, and this one sounds like this. And they have their own effects on them, and then together they sound like that. So they're routed to a similar channel that's affecting both of them at the same time. So I usually actually don't layer two kicks on top of each other that have low frequencies, but for some reason the way that these ones sounded, it just sounded good to me. I have this kick that just has an EQ on it, adding more lows because I wanted like it to be really bassy, and some more high frequencies. And then this one, I wanted more distortion on it, so this is what it sounded like before. And then with a wave shaper and a little bit of EQ, I got some distortion. I just played around with the curves here until like you got some more distortion. And then together they have more EQ on them, just adding more lows, and then a compressor. Actually, I don't even think that's doing anything. So I don't know why that's on. Oh, yeah, it's doing a little bit. So yeah, when I make kick drums, it's honestly never always the same. Like, I just have a lot of different things that I add, like with EQ and compression. Sometimes I don't even use that. And you kind of just experiment until you find what you like. And usually I reference a lot. So I think I wanted this kick to kind of sound like the one in Friends by Justin Bieber, because I really like that kick. It's like really heavy, and it like has a nice, let's see what it looks like. Because actually a lot of times when I make a kick, I will like see what it looks like as a waveform, and it's just like really deep. And that's what I was going for this kick. So you just kind of experiment until like you use different combinations of samples. And this one, like, the reason I don't usually have two samples going at once with bass is because it causes phase cancellation sometimes. But for this one, it just like sounded good. And if I had repitched one of these, it just doesn't sound the same. So like just messing around with the different pitches and different samples, you can kind of like create your own. Like, I wouldn't have been able to find this exact kick that would have worked for this song in a sample pack. I don't think so, at least. I almost never, like I said, I almost never use a straight up kick drum from a sample pack because it doesn't have the exact sound I want for the track. So yeah, I found this through a lot of experimentation. A lot of times I spend hours on a kick just because like I said before, like it's one of the most important parts of the track because it carries so much energy. You hear it so often. So yeah, that's one method. I'm gonna show you next how I did the kick for the drop. All right, so here's the drop here. Okay, so this is another method of making a kick drum that is actually my personal favorite because you completely personalize the kick. And this is using the Synth Kick 2 by Sonic Academy. I am so in love with this plugin. It's amazing. I've been using it for a long time, and it's honestly one of my favorites just because I'm such a kick drum nerd, and you can literally craft your own kick with this. So let me just show you briefly. I'm not going to do a super in-depth tutorial on this plugin, but like I'm going to show you at least how I made this kick drum. So basically this kick drum is manipulating a sine wave, which is like what sub bass is usually made up of. And this timeline right here is like the different pitch. So this is like a really high frequency and then going down to like 37 hertz. So this graph is just over time going from a high pitch down to a low pitch. And that's essentially what kick drums are, is just like, at least synthesized kick drums are like sine waves that are like going down with pitch. So you can craft like how that looks. This one is really simple. You can do a lot of crazy stuff. Like I've made countless kicks, like all these kicks here are ones that I've personally made. And I'm actually not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because it took me a long time to figure out how to get a kick drum sound that I want, and it's been through making all of these kick drums from scratch. And so if this is intimidating for you, that's totally okay. Like just start practicing making kick drums. I encourage you to get this plugin because like if you want to customize your own, it's really awesome. But it takes a lot of time to learn. So I can't really teach you the skills to like make your own kick drum really, but I'm just going to kind of show you how I do it. So yeah, for this one specifically, like I said, I really like the way that Gray does their kicks. I'm pretty sure they probably make their own because you can't really find those in sample packs, but it's like really simple. You just kind of make a curve that like goes down like that. This is the length here, so you can make like a really long one or really short. I usually like it in between here just because like it sounds smooth. A quick overview of this plugin, like there's this part and then there's the amp, which is the volume envelope. So if I do this, like it takes away the attack, I can make it shorter. You can add different clicks. I didn't add any clicks to this one. It would have sounded like this. But I just kind of like the natural click that came from this one. And then you can add some EQ, just like subtle, like subtractive EQ I did for that one. You can add a little bit of distortion with this, some compression. So that's why I really like this plugin, is because like you can make a kick sound pretty good within the plugin and then do some post-processing afterward. Yeah, I make a lot of different kicks with this one. Let me just show you some examples of other ones that I've done. Float. This is the one that I made for my float remix. See, it looks a little different. And you just get like different tones from your kick, like a more high-pitched one or a more low-pitched one. Like, it really depends on the genre you make. Like if you're gonna make like, say, progressive house or something, you might make it bigger like this. And you might want it like to be a little lower pitched. And then you can like add different clicks to it. So yeah, that's how I usually make my kick drums, is just playing around with like the different pitches and like different tones. And another big deal is like how long it is, because like if you're doing like a 4 on the floor song like progressive house, you're probably gonna want like a pretty big kick to carry a lot of the energy. But with something like this one for the Somebody remix, like I want it to be a little shorter so that like it has a lot of punch, but then like the sub bass can kind of like fill that space. So like when you're making a drop, a lot of times like the kick drum, it really depends on the vibe you're going for. So like for this drop, I don't want like a kick that like goes boo, because then it's gonna like, when I try to hear the sub bass, it's gonna conflict with that and like cause phase cancellation and everything. I just want like something that hits hard and quickly, and then the sub bass can come through after that. So it really depends on the genre you're doing. That's why I like using this plugin, because you can customize your kick to make it how it fits for your track specifically. A lot of times too, like when I'm making my own kick, I'll add a lot of post-processing, like a lot of plugins afterward to kind of get the tone where I want it. And it usually makes a huge difference. But for this kick, it was kind of less is more, I think. So I just had a little bit of EQ and then just some OTT. This one is just really simple because that's all it needed. I know when I was first making kick drums, I was way overcomplicating it and putting a bunch of compressors and sound goodizer and like a ton of EQ, and it was just sounding really weird. I just didn't know any better, but I've found that in making kicks now, less is more, kind of. Like I said, there's like a billion different kind of kicks you can make, so I'm probably going to do more explaining on that in future videos, like for different songs. But the main takeaway that I think you should have from this video is start experimenting with kicks. Take them seriously because they're a huge part of the song, and start making your own and establishing a library, because a lot of these samples that I used in the verse kick were a collection of samples that I made, and it kind of makes it more personal, and you have a big library of stuff that sounds good to you. And yeah, so just I would encourage you to start playing around with kicks and making them sound awesome. And yeah. So that concludes this tutorial on how to make a kick drum. I want to dive more into the specific parts of this project because a lot of you have been asking me how I made this project. So let me know in the comments below what specific part of this song you want me to talk about, and I'll dive into that, and hopefully you guys can learn something new. If you want to listen to this full remix, I will put a link in the description where you can watch it on Chill Nation, and be looking forward to new music coming out from me very soon. If you're not already subscribed, dude, subscribe. It's not that hard. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, peace out.